My children told me I was a burden until they found out who I really was. My name is Carlos Ramírez. I'm 52 years old, and I've lived what I can only describe as two completely different lives. One built on success, and the other built on silence. In one of those lives, I'm the owner and CEO of Ramírez Constructions, a company known for building bridges, skyscrapers, and a legacy that carries my name across the country. My mansion overlooks the city lights, I drive luxury cars, and I have more money than I'll ever need. But in the other life, the one I chose to live for a while, I'm just Carlos, a quiet man living in a run-down two-bedroom house, walls cracked, pipes dripping, and a squeaky chair that's become my favorite place to think. I chose this second life on purpose, and the reason was simple. My children, Javier and Sofía. It all started almost 16 years ago. My marriage to Laura had collapsed into constant shouting and accusations. She said I cared more about my work than my family, that I was cold, absent, obsessed with money. The day she left, she took everything that truly mattered, my two children. Javier was 5, Sofía was only 3. I begged her not to move so far, but she was determined to start a new life. I tried to stay in touch. I called, sent gifts, drove hours to visit, but Laura always had an excuse. "They're busy, Carlos. Don't bother them." Sometimes she wouldn't even answer. Years passed, and my children grew up in pictures. Blurry Facebook posts, birthday photos I wasn't invited to. Meanwhile, I buried my pain under work. I built my company from scratch, first a small workshop, then a national empire. I became rich, but never whole. Then one evening, everything changed. Update 1. My phone rang. I didn't recognize the number. When I answered, I heard a trembling voice. "Dad, we can't do this anymore. Mom's unbearable. Please, let us stay with you." It was Javier. Behind him, I heard Sofía crying, "Please, Dad, get us out of this house." I didn't hesitate. I said, "Come whenever you want." For the first time in decades, I had hope. But I also knew one thing. I wasn't going to hand them everything on a silver platter. I'd seen too many spoiled kids destroy their lives because of inherited wealth. I wanted mine to learn to work, to appreciate what it takes to earn a living. So, I made a decision that changed everything. I left my mansion and moved into a small rented house in a modest neighborhood. 2 bedrooms, 1 bathroom, leaky roof. I told no one the truth, not even my kids.
When they arrived, they looked shocked. Javier was tall and hardened by life. Sofía was quiet and nervous. I welcomed them home, but I could feel the distance. We were strangers. "This is where we'll live," I told them. "It's not much, but it's ours. One rule, you both work. You pay your share, rent, food, everything. I'm not supporting anyone." They looked surprised, but agreed. I told them I'd found them jobs at a construction company, Ramírez Constructions, without mentioning that I was the owner. Javier started as a warehouse helper, Sofía as an office clerk. I made sure they got good pay, twice what those positions usually earned. They didn't need to know I'd arranged everything. At first, it was beautiful. They came home tired but happy. Javier told stories about stacking bricks and learning from his foreman. Sofía smiled as she described how she'd impressed her boss by organizing old files. I cooked simple dinners, rice, soup, or milanesa, and listened, proud. For a brief moment, I thought maybe this could heal us. Update 2. But after a few weeks, the complaints began. One night, Javier slammed his boots on the floor. "This is insane, Dad. We work all day and live in this dump for what?" Sofía joined in. Yeah, we're killing ourselves while you sit here doing nothing. I tried to stay calm. Life's about effort, I said. You have money, you're managing. Managing? Javier snapped. You do nothing. You live off our salaries. You're a burden. That word hit me like a brick. Sofía added coldly. Yeah, you're like a kept man. I couldn't speak. Me? A burden? The man who had given them everything? Who left his mansion and built this charade so they could learn humility? I went to bed without saying a word. That night, I didn't sleep. The word burden echoed in my head until anger replaced the pain. They thought I was useless? I would show them exactly who I was.
Update 3. 3 days later, there was a company-wide meeting. Every employee had to attend, including Javier and Sofía. That morning, I dressed differently. I left behind my worn-out clothes and put on my best gray suit. I drove my BMW straight from the mansion and arrived at headquarters before everyone else. By 10 a.m., the room was packed, 200 workers. On the left corner, Javier, in his uniform, scrolling his phone. Near the front, Sofía, tidy and composed, chatting with coworkers. Then my manager spoke. Please welcome the owner of Ramírez Constructions, Mr. Carlos Ramírez. Applause filled the room, and when I walked on stage, everything stopped. Javier's phone slipped from his hand. Sofía froze, her folder trembling. Their faces went white. I smiled faintly. Good morning. I'm Carlos Ramírez, founder and owner of this company. Their eyes widened. I spoke about hard work, respect, and humility, but my real message was silent. This is who your burden really is. When I finished, I walked past them. Javier tried to whisper, "Dad?" But I didn't stop.
Update 4. Later that day, I called them both to my office. They entered, heads bowed. "We're sorry," Javier mumbled. "We didn't know." "Why didn't you tell us?" Sofía cried. I leaned forward, voice cold. "You called me a burden, a kept man. Remember?" Neither spoke. "Now you'll see the truth." I took them to my mansion, through the gates, the gardens, the marble halls. Their jaws dropped. "This," I said, "is mine. Every tile, every wall, every drop of water in that pool. I left this behind so you could learn to live. You failed." They begged for forgiveness, but I wasn't finished. "You're fired from my company, from my life. Get out of my house." Sofía sobbed. Javier shouted. I didn't flinch. They left with my driver that night, back to the small house they once complained about. Update 5. 3 months later, I asked my driver to check on them. Javier now hands out flyers on the street. Dirty, sunburned, barely surviving. Sofía works in a small bakery, exhausted, underpaid, living with a distant aunt. When I heard that, I didn't feel joy, but I didn't feel pity either. I sit by my infinity pool at night, a glass of whiskey in hand, thinking about them. Sometimes I imagine them laughing again, calling me dad without resentment. Then I shake it off and look at the city, the empire I built, the one they never truly saw. They wanted to call me a burden. Now they understand what it means to lose the man who carried everything.